What is up, maniacs, and welcome to Broadened Horizon. This is episode 18. I'm your host, Drake Riggs. On this episode, we'll catch up with recent Ryzen debutante Jessica Aguilar and Ryzen English play-by-play commentator Showdown Joe Ferraro for some lengthy and insightful conversations. Let's waste no time. Thanks to them for joining us, and to you, the viewers or listeners, and don't forget to hit like and share if you enjoy the show. First up, it's one of the strawweight division's pioneers and the newest addition to the atomweight class, Jessica Aguilar.
How's it going?
It's going good. Great to see you. I love the setup you got here.
Love the new hair.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I know. I cut it recently.
Yeah, the last time we spoke, you had a little, you had the long hair, right?
Yeah, I was growing it from it was March 2020 to like the start of July. So I cut it last month. Yeah.
It looks great.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, it's been so long.
It's great to see that, you're still covering us females.
Of course.
So awesome work with that.
Yes.
I love it. I love to see it. I don't stay in, stay in touch with what's going on very often, but I do see that you always, when I do get on, I always see you, looking out for us. So thank you.
Yes.
But man, I'm here. I'm back in Mexico.
Okay.
I'm here in Puebla, Mexico, and that's why I put this background, because there's an active volcano here. It's a high altitude, but we'll talk about that later.
Of course.
So we just got here. Well, it's been a wild ride. I'm like, where am I at? But so yes, I'm here in Puebla now. I trained here for a month before going to Japan. Mm-hmm. So yeah, man, was it a surprise to see me in the tournament? Were you surprised, or did you already have the insight?
So, I mean, I'm pretty in touch with what's going on with Ryzen, but I didn't see that one coming. No, I definitely did not. So you caught me off guard there. I was like, oh, damn, this is amazing. Kind of full circle for you and everything. But it made me think, though, Jessica, like, what's the status with the XFC stuff? Because that was what was going on last time we caught up.
That's behind me.
Okay.
I am looking forward, and I'm so happy with Ryzen. I can't be any happier and more grateful to be fighting for an organization like Ryzen and finding a new division. So I'm not sure. I'm just really happy to be, at this age, at this point in my career, with an organization that it's an amazing organization. Cholita says, my girlfriend says, it's like WWE meets MMA, and it's legit. It's so true,
Well, you had the mask and everything.
From the show to the fight, and yeah, it's the, like I said, it's the best promotion for me at this point in my career. They really, it's really exciting, and I felt, super happy that after a loss, they're already talking about a next fight. So that's amazing. It really meant a lot to me. So yeah, I mean, the Ryzen preparation started since my last fight. Honestly, okay. I didn't know that I was going to be fighting for Ryzen, but that was my preparation started from that. And, to be honest, I haven't had a structured, stable camp or team since I left American Top Team. Mm-hmm. I was there for 13 years, and I had my team that I had with me in each corner for over a decade. So when I left there, just kind of figuring things out and seeing where, what's best for me and what I like best at this point in my career with my injuries and, my way where I'm going to live. Right. Yeah. So, yeah, I learned that from my last fight before Ryzen, mm-hmm. that I gassed out in the fight. And I was like, that's not me. Right. That's not what happened. So, hey, let me fly the high altitude. So I moved to Mexico, to Puebla, Mexico. It's about over 7,000 feet. So I'm like, I'm going to figure this out because my muscle, like, I can't feel that that muscle exhaustion anymore. I'm like, no. that's what I used to always say. Like cardio is like my number one thing. I'm never gonna get tired. And in that fight, I got tired. So I moved to Mexico, and that was 2000. What was it? Because it was 2 years. When did I fight in in the States?
That was, I think, November 2020, maybe around there.
2020.
Yeah.
Yes, you're correct. Yep. So then after that, I moved to Puebla. And but for before that, for Christmas, we went to Telluride. We went skiing to Telluride
Okay.
in Colorado. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I love it. I want to do this every Christmas. And so, and then after our trip in Telluride, I was like, why don't we just stay, go visit Denver for a while. So we decided to stay there for an extra week. And I loved it. While being in Denver, um, I hit up Tisha because I'm like, I know she's in Colorado. I just don't know where she's at. So I hit up Tisha. Tisha's like, yeah, I'm in Colorado, but she was out of town at that time for the holidays. She was like, but this is where I train. Like, you could go stop and check it out. So I stopped in at Pound for Pound during my vacation or my little Christmas holiday, and I loved the training there. I was like, all right, okay, so the altitude is high, the weather's awesome, people are dope. We can hit up the dispensaries.
It's all good in the hood.
Right. Everything is looking good. Everything looks good. So the training was really good. And so I was like, all right. So we, talked about it, and we were like, so when we're in the US, this is gonna be our spot. You know, LA was just too congested. It's just different, right? So Denver, high altitude and great training. So moved to Mexico from January to July, and then from July to December, we went to Colorado. So I started my preparation in Colorado, and without knowing again where I was going to fight, but it was already like 2 years. It was going to be 2 years this November that I was inactive, but I was still training, and so I found a great group of people in Colorado wrestling. Justin, he was amazing. Pound for pound. Jason the wrestler, and then Justin at Pound for Pound with all the girls there. You got Miranda, you got Tisha, you got Raquel. There was a great group of people there, and like Jay. Oh my gosh, I'm terrible, but it was a great group of girls that I was training in Colorado with, and so I loved it. I was like, all right, this is cool. High altitude. So then Tisha asked for me to, if I could help her with her camp for Mackenzie. So I started doing that, which I love to do. Like, so it wasn't like on me. I was still doing my physical therapy and things like that, and my conditioning and still training, but not focused on myself.
Right.
So I helped her for that. She did amazing, by the way. I was so proud of her. And then, I got to train with Rose for her last fight too. And again, it's just found a great group of people in Colorado. But we already had this planned trip, or this trip planned, dyslexia, sorry. You heard that? That's like firsthand. That was live.
Yeah, I get that too. Don't worry.
That was a live dyslexia moment. But I own it now, and I like understand it. Where before I was like, why do I do that?
Yeah.
We'll go into that a little later. But so then I found a great group of people, and we had our trip planned to Mexico already in July. So July 1st, we only rented, we had a place in Colorado till July 1st, and that was our plan. So, life goes as usual. I continue training, doing my thing, and we were already talking. I think it was in April that Ayaka they first matched up, right? And it was in April, and she was going to get her title back, fighting for the title. And she lost. And then after that, they were like, all right, well, I think they're talking about you and Nayaka in sometime in July. But it was just kind of things we've been trying to find a place for me since January. We were just looking around, right? And it was just, one FC wasn't, they weren't bringing anyone on, and I said, my goal was like, I want to travel. I want to travel again. I want to do like a tour and just like have fun and just kind of find myself again. Like just find a place that I love again and just, find that love again.
Yeah.
That I never, not that I lost it because I can't stop doing it or just being
Kind of reignited a little bit.
right, right. So yeah, so then they're like, all right, just prepare for kind of July. Okay. But this had been going on for like since January. You might have a fight in March, you might have a fight in, so it was nothing, nothing concrete. So then he's like, yeah, I think they're talking about a tournament, and do you think you can make 49 kilos? And I'm like, I mean, I can do it. I've never done it before, but I think I can do it. And I went for it. I was like, yeah, if I commit myself to it and, I'm gonna make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
I was a small straw weight anyway. Like I wasn't, I was walking around at 123, 125 was the highest. So that's small for the straw weight division. There's, they're coming down from 145, 140. So
Yeah.
I was the small straw weight. And, so I was like, yeah, I'll figure it out. I gotta, get a diet and just go to work. I made a lot of mistakes.
You made weight though.
I'll share a story.
Okay.
So after Tisha's fight, she went on vacation. She came back and she's, yeah, I'm on this intermittent fasting. And then I was like, all right. So that helped though. It's funny, but it really like put me in the right direction. So, and that was from Lou, the dietitian.
Okay.
So they're Raquel's dietitian. So shout out to Lou. He's awesome. I know him. So Tisha was on that with Raquel, for no sugar. So I was like, all right, well, I got to start my diet, no sugar, 9-hour intermittent fasting. And I said, okay, so like, how does it work? She gives me the details. And I was eating every 9 hours. So if I mean, I eat breakfast at 8 or 9 in the morning, then I wouldn't eat till 5 or 6 in the evening. But I would do my trainings. So I tell Tisha, I do this for 2 weeks, and I'm like sparring. I'm doing like 3s a day. I'm doing, the diet is clean. I'm doing my cardio, my strength and conditioning, everything, but I was doing it on that eating plan.
Right.
Not knowing before that, let's rewind. Before that, I had built some muscle. I was working on building muscle. During those 2 weeks, I kind of messed up with the diet. So after 2 weeks, Tisha came back, we trained, and I'm like, yo, I've been doing on the intermittent fasting diet that you told me, and it's actually going really well with the no sugar thing. But man, I just, I've been pushing through it, but it's hard to train so hard without eating 9 hours. She was like, what do you mean? And I said, yeah, you said intermittent fasting for like not 9 hours. She was like, no, I don't even know what that means. She's like, I thought I meant to tell you that you can eat within that 9-hour period. And I was like, oh my God. So anyways, I feel like I made that mistake early on, but it kind of put me on the right track because I did a tryout cut. And I went down, I did a tryout cut to, I think it was 118 at the time. Well, no, I was lower than 118, 115, sorry, 115, 114. I made 114 and I felt good. I was like, all right, I can do this. So after I spoke to her and then I was like, oh my gosh, that makes so much difference because I felt like I was eating my muscle. I was lifting and I was sparring and I was doing all this, but I was like eating up the muscle that I had built. So I was like, all right, whatever. Let's just keep moving forward. So I was already low and I was like, all right, this is not going to be hard, but still you have doubts, like I still had doubts because I had never weight, like I had never made that weight. And so when they were like, I think the first week of June was the week that it was confirmed. Hey, you're going to be in the tournament. You're fighting Ayaka. This is the deal. I'm like, all right, well, I've already started preparing for my like weight and stuff like that, but now it's like, all right, now
It's on.
it's on. So I continued to training. July hit me like July 1st came like this. Whoa. And also, while I was training, teacher was obviously one of my main training partners, and she was going to be the one cornering me. She was going to be one of the corners. Something came through after we got her visa approved. She had like other something came up, and so she was like, hey, I can't go. I'm like, oh man, all right, cool, like, I'll figure it out. The wrestling coach, my coach, Jason, he's like, let me see if I can figure it out. He couldn't adjust his schedule, so I was like, all right, well, let's go to my. I got to move. I got to like things to do, so we'll figure it out as I go. And like I said, I'm still trying to put things together. I know that I just found that team in Colorado and great people, which that's it's just finding the good people, finding the people you're comfortable with. And so Justin had also from pound for pound, he had other prior commitments. He was already committed, so he couldn't travel. So like I totally understand that, get that. But I'm like, all right, so cool. July 1st, we come to Mexico, crazy. It's like, all right, we get here, we hit the floor, and I had already been in Mexico for the last 6 months. So I've been training down here with Brazilian Warriors,
Okay, very nice.
which is a great team. Gotti, that's the flyweight champion for Invicta.
Yeah, just got signed to
Yep,
Bellator. Congrats to her.
exactly. So she just got signed to Bellator. Yep. Yeah. So I've been training over here with them. Great team. And high altitude. Like it's just been really, really good. And so when I get here, I asked Diego, the owner of Alessandro and Diego. I think Alessandro he was on the Contender. He was
Yes.
training for the Contender. And so everything is going on. And Diego's like, well, I can't go to his because some situation with can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
I had to tap the speaker and mute me for a minute. So he's like, but I can go with you. I sent his information, the visa. It wasn't enough time for the visa to get approved. His visa to get approved. Talking about the visa. Wow.
I'm sure I've heard stories.
Yeah. Let's just say I'm happy I got there.
Yes.
Because if I take you through everything, it was a lot. It was a lot. It was a lot. So he couldn't go. He's like, I'm like, okay, we're gonna make it work.
Yeah.
Whatever. I did my training, I'm still doing my training here. Everything is going right. My weight is good. My visa, I wasn't sure if I was going to get it. So like, we can't get the ticket, like it was just a lot. Like, I think the last week and a half, I got my visa. Shalita and I, my girlfriend, we got our visas. She was still going to go. She was still going to, do that trip with me. And so we got our visas. We live 2 hours away from Mexico City. We have to go to the Japanese consul, all of that. It was insane, but we got it done. We got it done and we learned a lot for next time.
Yes.
Right. So yeah, I asked, the only thing that I asked Rising was to get me there a week early, a week early. Yeah. Monday instead of a Thursday because I wanted time to acclimate.
Yeah.
I didn't get there until Wednesday because of the visas, but I kind of made it a day earlier, and that day kind of gave me more time. And I apologize thank you for understanding.
Of course.
yes, no, where, what happened, and I think it was, I spoke to Carlos, from ESPN from Mexico. I was in my room and he was like, hey, I'm like, yeah, let's chat. So I was in the room and it was like, yeah, I could do it now. Let's talk.
Right.
But thank you for understanding.
Yeah,
And I
of
know that
course.
you have your schedule too, but I think this is a better conversation.
Yes, we're here now.
Um, yeah, exactly. So yeah, I I think that I have my notes here, but I think that, I found a great team in Colorado. I found a great team here in Puebla, and now it's just putting the pieces together. I went there, and honestly, it just I didn't I don't I it didn't dawn on me that I was not that I don't know Ayaka
Mhm.
and not first team, obviously, right?
Right.
Um, Megumi, like I know where she comes from, and I know that we were supposed to fight. So there was that story that we were supposed to fight the day the earthquake
Yep.
hit. So this fight was meant to be, and it just didn't dawn on me that I was going in to fight the number 2 in the world in a different weight class. So not that I didn't take it seriously, because like I said, I was preparing for this since my last fight,
Hmm.
whether it was my conditioning, like there was different things, and there were other outlining things that happened throughout the preparation, right? Obviously, that we always have something going on.
Yes.
But it didn't dawn on me till after the fight. It bit me in the ass, But I did learn a lot I did learn a lot from the fight, and I'm super grateful that I'm fighting for Ryzen, and that I had that opportunity. I had I say the 3 lucha libres in my corner. I had Shalita, and I had Diago, and then I had Mizuki from Japan, which they were amazing. But it takes, I a different type of people that are, coaches that are experienced to be there, especially in a high level fight like that was.
Yeah.
I was prepared, but so hey, I'm grateful. It was a great experience. I mean, I did the show, and obviously I wasn't preparing to go lose like the way I lost. In the first round, it's funny because the first round, I usually can take kicks to the body. And when she the front kicked me,
Yeah.
I was like, I wanted to keep going forward. I'm like, whoa.
It's not great.
And it was a blazing, and I was like, okay, hold on. Went to the ground, finished the round, finished. I go back to the corner and ask my corner, like, what did I get caught with? And they're looking at each other like, I was like, never mind, never mind. I'm
Yeah,
good.
let's move on. Let's move on.
Just give me water and we'll keep going. Second round. I was, happy with the second round, but it is what it is. I'm just happy that I made the weight. I even went to 106. Like I made 106. So the matchmaker's like, oh, so it's easier for you to you can do the atom weight. I'm like, well, now I can say I can,
Yeah.
right? Now I did. I'm like, I can, and I didn't feel bad. And I didn't feel like, he's like, yeah, you came even lower at the weigh-in. And honestly, I spoke to him after the fight. He's like, honestly, you look smaller than Ayaka. And I was like, he's like, so that I thought was kind of weird because you're coming from the strawweight division. That's a learning. That means that it's not only about the weight, it's also about the muscle, right? So me knowing what I did in my diet, I was like, okay, now, hey, I need to build the muscle, and have the team, the
Yeah.
professional, the team that can give you those little points, like, hey, you're this little things, it makes a ton of difference. So, um, it was a great show. It was a great. I got so much love from Japan. Ayaka and Megumi, like it was awesome to see them again. And the fight didn't go, but I'm gonna figure this out. The goal is figuring out how to get on back onto the winning column. And I think, this is my fourth loss in a row. And I think that the big thing, I just need to find my new formula, a new winning formula. And I think that that's going to be the coach, my corners, and building muscle to stay in the atom weight division and fighting in Horizon. So yeah, that's a little bit of what's up, what's going
You
on.
laid it all
But
out for me.
sorry.
You laid it all out for me.
See, I was prepared for you,
Yeah,
Jay.
appreciate it.
Yeah, let me make up for this, Yeah. So yeah. So, but so now they after the loss, after that night, they were already in talks about having me back
Mhm.
to possibly match up with Kana. She
Okay.
also, yeah, she lost to, what was it?
Siwoo Park. Yeah.
Yep, yep. So that felt really good, after a loss, you know how we get. It's like kind
Yeah.
of, you know, um I didn't go to lose,
Right.
but and then yeah, there was just so much that happened. But I'll figure it out. And I think that now the puzzles are coming together. I'm finding that right formula that I want. I still got some figuring out to do. And yeah, now I'm back to work, and I'm trying to figure those things out. Also, been working on my dyslexia a little bit, so now that I know that I'm dyslexic and kind of understanding, not that I'm stupid or dumb,
Right.
I used to beat myself up, and I'm like, what
What
is
is
wrong
wrong?
with
Yeah.
me? Like there was just so many things. And now knowing, it's like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I do. That's exactly how I think. Oh my gosh. But that's great because now I understand and I'm kinder to myself, and I can, raise awareness, and later that's what I want to do about, because it's super important, because it wasn't fun feeling like a stupid dumb kid,
Never is. Yeah.
growing up, because I couldn't read, or I couldn't, express my, it was really hard on me growing up in school. So, learning more about dyslexia and working on it, and then, knowing that I can bring awareness, is like, it's exciting for me. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. So yeah, what are your thoughts? What's been,
Wow.
what are your thoughts about the tournament?
Oh
What
my
were your
goodness. Very, very exciting. I mean, once it was announced, like all the matchups, I was like, there's stories to all of these. They stylistically have very cool, implications to them and all that. And I'm still excited to see where it goes from here, with I mean, it wasn't going to go wrong, really, like the way that they set it up. And the first round was very fascinating to the other fights. Like Sayaka, the champ in the main event, I think she's just incredible, like
She is, yo, I didn't know about her till she beat a Yaka, and I looked at
a lot
and
of
I was,
people didn't. She hadn't been even in MMA for like only
oh my
over a
God,
year, over like 14
that's
months.
insane. That's amazing. Yes, she's incredible. I saw her and I was like, she is great.
Yeah.
Amazing. She's really, what, she's 23?
I think she's
She's a baby.
24, 23, 24-ish. Yeah.
Oh yeah, so she's big, but it's amazing to see how talented the new generation is, Like, yeah. And Ayaka, man, I got it, we were
Still
the,
got it.
it's good because we're the same age. So like that was like another, exciting moment for me, because they can be like, oh, we were both 40 years old, still fighting on the top, like, the highest
Mhm.
level. And that made me feel really good. And then finding out that there's other, older females fighting for Ryzen, and Ryzen supports us. So it was amazing. Another thing that I learned, Drake, is that, I can't just fight every 2 years. I have to be active.
Yeah.
Yaka, she's been fighting at this weight class for, she's been fighting at this weight class for a while, the atom weight class. And she's been active every 3 months, every
Yeah,
three to
I
four
don't I don't
months.
know if she's missed a year before in her career.
Exactly. So she's been like, she looks great. I'm like, I'm giving her like I'll give her flowers and she's amazing, like great. But that's something that for the past, I would say maybe 6 to 8 years or 6 to 8 years for me, I've been like every 2 years, a fight a year. Like it's just so inconsistent. The inactivity does do it to you. So I have to find and training consistently and fighting is two different things. Like that feeling that you get fighting and that experience that you get fighting, the flow is so different. Competing and training, it's just a different,
Yeah.
because I haven't stopped training, but I haven't fought in over 2 years, and then I get in, and it's like,
Switching the
it
gears 100% kind of. Yeah.
absolutely. So that's another thing that I learned and that I have to get back on is you know being consistent, fighting consistently, and that's super exciting fighting for Ryzen because they keep you consistent and they, like I said, after a loss, they're talking about another fight. That's amazing.
Yeah, you're like, that's what I'm
Promotion,
looking for. Let's go.
that's exactly what I'm looking for at this point in my career. And amazing organization, I could be happier and more grateful for the opportunity. And, just that I created a new division for myself, and I also want to do some commentating. So that would be a great promotion to start the Spanish commentary.
Yeah.
So that's what I want. And hey, you never know. So I'll be like, Megumi will be commentating in Japanese and I'll be commentating in Spanish. That what?
It'd be amazing.
Amazing. And then maybe, maybe no, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do, and I'll tell you you'll be the first
All
I
right.
tell is that when I work my way back up to the atom division, my atom weight division, um, I'll rematch Ayaka for my retirement bout. How about that?
Oh,
Oh,
okay. All right. I like it. I like it a
so
lot.
yeah, there's that was just, yeah, that's amazing. I just got chills. But
The story, Jessica, my goodness.
yeah, right? What? So yeah, it's just super exciting. I'm in a really good space. And like I said, I feel like I'm connecting, everything. Also been working on an ambassador deal with Lululemon, so I'm super
Ooh,
excited about that. You know, we've been, working on that for a while, and I've done some things with them in Houston, and now I'm like, connecting those pieces up here in Mexico and just bringing it together. Though their platform is huge, and I mean, their clothes is really amazing. Like, I'm not just saying because I'm going to be an
right.
ambassador, but their clothes is the best for what I do. I sweat so much, the quality lasts a long time. We sweat so much, and the smell like
It'll
sticks to
linger.
your,
Yeah.
it just lingers. Well, Lululemon, yo, I don't have a problem with that. The shoes, their new shoes that just came out are the most comfortable shoes ever. So yes, I've been working on that, so I'm super excited about that too. Um,
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. So yeah, yeah, that's what's going on with Jag.
I love to
That's
hear it. It's so great to hear, Jessica. 'Cause, I mean, you've earned this, and to be a part of like something like Ryzen, which is such a cool promotion, and highlighting the lightest division as best as anybody in the world right now. UFC doesn't have atom weights. Obviously, Invicta does some atom weight stuff. One championships atom weights, quote unquote, because they're at 115. All this, but Ryzen's got the best, obviously, with Sayaka now as the queen atop. And I mean, you started things off though facing one of the greatest of all time. Ayaka's the best atom weight there is, right?
I
So,
know. Well, like I
like,
told you, Drake, like that's what I'm saying. Like, not that I didn't know who she was or where she was in the rankings,
right.
but it didn't dawn on me like till the end of till the fight finished. I'm like, yo, I just fought the number two girl in the atom weight division and I just made, I made 106 and I just fought the number two girl. So, hey, there's no like feeling bad and like, because usually that, we go through our, yeah, it sucks. I lick my wounds for about a week, or 3 days or whatever. And, it comes in waves. But I know that, and I really, really know, and I understand that it's the inactivity. Like I need activity because like, in training and I still hold my own. So it's not, it's not this, it's just the inactivity and so I'm in a happy place with Ryzen. Yeah, super
Yes.
excited.
Very awesome. And I mean, we've talked about like kind of where your opponents stack up with each other in the past before, Jessica, but I mean, mentioning, how good Ayaka is and having experienced that now, maybe circumstances could have been better with more activity like you're mentioning, but how or where do you kind of rank Hamasaki against like all the other opponents you fight? Of course, there's Megumi. You fought so many good people. Like, where is she on this list?
Wait a minute. Their plan was on fucking point. Excuse my language,
Oh, you're good.
but
We're uncensored here.
we're uncensored. Well, congratulations to them. It's like I told, like Dean, Dean Thomas, he had put together, he was part of my, obviously, my corner back in the day. And I hit him up when I found out that I was fighting Ayaka, and he put a video together. Like we would put our videos together. He would put a video together. We would go through it. This is what she does. These are her little habits, she doesn't like the distance. She usually doesn't like the distance, and she kept the distance. She usually doesn't take down, and she took me.
Right.
She took me down. I don't know how many times. Ayaka is not going to happen again. So, good luck, good proud for you. Like,
Yeah.
give yourself down the back. But I was flying. Anyways, so what she used to do, she totally switched it up.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, what I saw in the fights that I reviewed and from Dean, because he's been with me for a longer time and we've worked together for a longer time. He put together, and I was like, yeah, these are the things she does, and we got to look out for this and look out for this. Okay, but she totally switched it up on me. It was like, I mean, and when we were on the ground, I did feel how strong she was, but it was. I was surprised that she waited till the third round to work more on the ground.
Mm.
So like when she did take me down in the first round, it was like more holding. She had good shoulder pressure, and her pressure was really heavy. And all I could do is like kind of like, because there was no moving. There was no movement. I had my back flat on the mat. Props to her. She did great. And then that front kick, oh my God. She finished it in the first round, but Jessica's crazy. I don't go down. Like I'm not, it's gonna be hard to like really, really put me out.
Absolutely.
If you want to finish me, it's gonna be really, really hard. So I survived that. And in the second round, I was kind of getting my groove again, but again, the direction, and I think that the coaching, that was a missing part for me. And then the third round, she just took me down. She was like, the takedowns were incredible. And I think that because obviously Megumi has experience with me, she was like, this is what we're going to do. If you see my last fight, she did exactly like, all right, takedowns are open. Like, why are we going to fight with her? Why are we going to get into a bang with her? Because she likes to, I'll stand up and bang with you. And, she's coming from a different, I'm just kind of seeing, from their coach's side, she's coming from a different division. And, she could probably bring some power that you don't, you usually don't feel in the atomweight division. So let's just take her down, win the fight, strategy was perfect. So for an atomweight, she's great. That was great. On my end, I'm going to be nice, but
you live and you learn, Jessica.
I haven't exactly. Let me learn. Yes, Jake. I haven't watched it. Actually, I'm following up to get the tape so that I can watch. I'm not sure even if it's online, but so that I can rewatch it and make the right adjustments.
Hmm.
But now that I have Diego here in with the Brazilian Warriors, he's helped me a lot. And actually, I didn't even mention this. The week that I got to Puebla, I was like even thinking, okay, since here there's, I had reached out to Kari. Kari's like, oh, I'm not training right now. Like and I'm like, okay, well, she's pretty big anyways.
Yeah.
Like, and she's fights at 125, so she walks around pretty big. Well, not pretty big, but she's much bigger
Bigger than you,
than right.
yeah.
And so I was thinking like, oh, I know Lobo, Lobo team it's like 3, 4 hours from Puebla. So I was even thinking about going there to get some sparring before I left to Japan, because there's the group of girls is deeper there. And so Diego's like, nah, Alexa's here. She's been here for like 3 weeks. And I'm like, no way. This is perfect. Oh my gosh, couldn't be more perfect. So I got to train with Alexa. She helped me out so much, and in that week and a half that I trained with them, I felt, I cleaned up a few details. So that was amazing. And he didn't get to go with me for this one, but for the next one, he'll be there. So for the next one, I'll have right corner. I'll have a little more muscle on me. And yeah.
Yes,
Learning,
of
live and
course.
learn.
Adapting. A lot of changes for you.
Yeah,
Positive
good ones,
changes,
right?
though, yes. And I mean, were you nervous at all going into this thing? Like, with all these
I
things
was,
considered?
I think that I work better in these situations when there's a lot going on and there's a lot at stake. But again, the performance, the thing that I should that the obviously, and I should rephrase that because it's not only about winning.
Hmm.
Before, it was like, when I was younger and earlier in my career, when I lost, it was devastating, and it was like, and now it's like I did lose that bout against Iyaka, and that was a huge fight. Like, it was co-main event, fighting, coming back, fighting in a different weight division, fighting the number two girl in the atom weight
Yeah.
division. I mean, it was a lot. I wasn't nervous, and I did lose that fight, but I won so many other things. Like, I won a division. I learned a lot about myself and what I need to do for this division. I won a promotion, an amazing promotion. And you know what? I love Japan. I really love Japan. Like, the love that I felt there, in the hotel, they would bring me gifts. The fans would bring me gifts. Like, there was like people waiting to give, like, showing me like old photos from, like, they took me back
The
real
time
life.
machine.
It's like, it was amazing. And then I got to eat at this amazing sushi place. It was just so much love. I really felt embraced, and it kind of, it sparks that love for the reason I got into the sport. So yeah, it's uh it's good. It's good. I'm happy.
Yeah, can't beat it. And I mean, I just thought it was so cool, obviously. The Megumi tie-in, I think, was one of my favorite parts of this because it's like, oh, obviously your guys' history, and then along with the Hamasaki one, like having supposed to have had this fight 11 years ago, 2011, all this stuff. So like, what was it like seeing her again? I mean, I know you guys would talk a little bit over Instagram for a
Oh
little
my
bit there, right?
God.
But
It was so well, we see each other after the weigh-in. And so I knew that I was already planning to take her daughter a little gift from Mexico, and I totally forgot. And so Shalita didn't make it the same day because of the visa and some changes. So she did arrive on Thursday, and I asked her. Anyways, we brought her. She got her a gift from Mexico, a little bracelet and a bag and a doll. And so when I saw Megumi, I brought her the bag for her daughter. Her daughter, the little girl is so cool.
yes,
She's
Osaku.
really cool. Yes, she's amazing. So she sees the doll, she really doesn't pay attention. She sees the bracelet, she gets so excited. Thank you. We embraced each other, we talked a little bit. She's like, oh, you look the same. You look the same. I'm like, yeah, you think so? You too. You too. So we talked and it was really good catching up. We talked for a little while. And then I was like, okay, I gotta rehydrate and get myself in the
Yes,
game,
yeah,
right?
focus.
We embraced each other. It was like we picked up from where we left off the last time. You know, she asked about my mom, I asked about her mom, things like that. And then she brought out old pictures. I'm like, Magooey. So she's like, you look the same. And I'll show you. That's what I was looking for. My phone, just 1 second. She was like, so I don't know if you can, oh,
Oh,
you can't
it
see
blends in with
because yeah,
the
it blends in.
background.
Well, I'll send it to you,
All
but
right.
she sent me a picture from 2011 and for me and Ayaka. And she's like, you look the same. So it was really cool. We took pictures afterwards and we talked and we were trying to, next time we'll get together more, but it was really cool seeing her and Abe and the team. And, I was like, good strategy. You did, and she kind of laughed at it,
Yeah.
but yeah, fun times. It was good times
Yeah,
for sure.
it was really cool to see you guys get that picture afterwards too, the three of you in the back after the
Yes,
fight.
I'm backed up, Drake. I got to post.
Okay, okay.
I'm backed up. I'm gonna post. It did, for some reason, it didn't allow me to repost, but I think now I figured it out. Anyways, I'm backed up. I'm gonna be doing that. I
Lots
haven't even
lots to
like
share.
yeah, I haven't even lots to share. Indeed, indeed. But for sure it was amazing. And she was like, "When are you coming back? Are you gonna go back? You come back in September?" I was like, "What?" I really didn't understand. I was like, "What do you mean? Am I coming
Yeah.
back?" It's like I just lost. I can't come back to this tournament. Like, I that this was way before I spoke to the matchmaker. He was like, "Go back September, December, October, November." I'm like, "Oh, I'll come back." I
Yeah.
mean,
She knew
Japan.
something you didn't know.
I know. Now I
Yeah.
understood that afterwards. But yeah, it was fun to see each other and catch up a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. A very, very cool part of the whole journey and this experience and part of your career, right? And I mean, I'm so fascinated to talk to you about this though, Jessica, having, been there, done that, all that you have, and getting to have this fight because when you fought Megumi, you didn't have the same rules, did you? Like, was that the rematch? Was the rematch scored
The
open?
rematch? No, nope. The rematch
Was round by
was
round?
yeah, the rematch
Okay.
was rules these MMA rules, like
Yeah.
UFC. Yeah,
Yeah.
there were they we didn't have the same rules.
Right.
And listen, I was ready to like really make it a dirty fight, like elbow, whatever it took for me to get that win, but I didn't even have an opportunity to do anything.
No
Like
soccer kicks, stomps.
nothing, no elbow. Like it was just. I actually tried to do an elbow. I think in the second round, I threw some knees, and when we were coming out, I tried to elbow. That's the only time I could kind of get a little busy in the second round. First and third, I didn't do shit. I I didn't have time for.
Yeah.
I was like, her pressure was good. I was on the mat. I was like, and this is what I always tell Shalita, like if we're training or anybody, if you're flat, you're fucked. So I was flat and I was, but
Amazing.
yeah, yeah. So, but I'm looking forward to continuing training the elbows and the stomps and those rules because it's a pretty,
I
it
think
goes,
it's the best way to go because it's realistic, right? Like a real
yeah,
fight, Not to say UFC
yeah.
fights aren't and all that stuff, but why can't
No,
you
right.
kick an opponent when they're down? The knees, I think, are huge. Like it's the way to go.
Yeah, there's a lot. She got to do a little more. She got to do a little more when I was on the ground and like I was trying to kick her knees. Yeah, but um yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That's yeah, to continuing to train those rules. It's just like the Pride Days.
Exactly.
It brings back the Pride Days, like the show. It's so and the like the fans of the love of the fans and how like professional they are and the show was amazing. I couldn't be happier and I couldn't say more good things about them, and it was great. Besides the things that happened before they
Right,
get there, I was
to
like,
get there.
yo, next time, please, can we do the visas? I have my visa till October, so I'm good till October. But yeah, it was a great experience. Shalita loved it. It was her first time there. I couldn't have been more happy at that time with everything that happened with the corner that I had. They were so supportive. They were so helpful. Tiago, Mizuki, and Shalita were amazing, and hilarious. We had a blast. We had a good time. Obviously, I didn't get the result I wanted, but like I said, I won so much more.
Yes, of course. And now it's onward and upward, right? Just keep building
Exactly.
off of it. And so, I mean, it doesn't sound to me, Jessica, like you have a specific kind of time frame in mind. You know, you mentioned the Ayaka rematch for maybe that capstone there, but like, is there any point that you want to do that? Or you're just like, we'll ride it out till whenever it happens and you'll be content
You
with it?
know, yeah, right now I think because it's so
Yeah,
soon,
pretty fresh still.
I just kind of like made that weight that now I know that I can make, and now I have to build muscle and just see how that works, how building muscle and then staying at that weight and kind of building my body. And then continue staying active and challenging myself and finding that formula that I'm talking about to win. Once I have to be Kana to get to Mizuki. So, and like other people are saying, oh, who do you see yourself fighting in this tournament? I'm like, right now, all I see is Ayaka, because that was the truth. Like,
Yep.
I know kind of who these girls were, kind of, because I really didn't know much, didn't know a lot, only the
Should have hit me
top.
up. Come on.
I'm sorry.
Should have hit me up. I would have helped you out.
And yeah, you know what? Next time, now I
Yes.
know. Thank you. Thank you. I should have.
Of
It
course.
just, there was a lot going
Yes.
on.
Very busy.
There was a lot going on. And June, when they said, okay, it's on go time. I mean, that's the thing too. I should have reached out, and I don't reach out as much as I should to ask, but I should. You're right. I should use that. Thank you. Thank
Yes.
you. Next time
Always
I
here.
will.
Always
Thank
here.
you. So I think that there's no timeline. I just think that I have to build some muscle, figure out that formula, win, and then maybe next time we talk, I'll have more for you on that answer. But right now, I don't have a timeline solving. Like it's not like before, when I left the UFC, I was in a dark place, and I did feel like it was time for me to retire because people were saying I'm too old. And no, it's not. It's not like that. I do this for the love. I want to continue being in the sport of MMA. I want to continue, showing the younger girls that we can still do it, and everything is possible, and it doesn't matter about your age, it's just love, and just kind of give back what I've gained from being in the sport, in this amazing sport, crazy amazing roller coaster. But
Yeah.
you know what, I love it. I love this, and so it's brought me so many things. So everything that I've learned and everything that I've grown, from when I started MMA to now, is because I had this platform, because I found the sport of MMA. If I wouldn't have found MMA, MMA really did change my life, like in so many good ways. It's given me a lot of heartache and a lot of surgeries, but hey, I,
The
I'm grateful.
ultimate
I
roller
had,
coaster.
I chose that. Like I chose that for myself, and it's allowed me to travel the world and live a life that I never, I never thought I'd be able to live. So hey, now I'm in Mexico. Next year I'll be in Colorado. Like half the year I'll be in Colorado. Like whatever. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
And having, the opportunity to chat with you and share my story, and kind of just continuing to yeah, share those experiences with other females or just the world. That hey, we're normal too. We're crazy, but we're not.
Yes.
And sharing this with my partner Shalita, she thinks it's great. She loves it. Oh my gosh. There's a video, I don't know if you've seen it. She's in my corner. It's so funny. I'll send it to
All
you,
right.
but she's amazing. She's so supportive and it's just right now, no, there's no quit. There's no quitting soon. You guys are gonna see me, whether it's commentating with the cane or something, like in 20, 30 years, I'm still around. So, but fighting right now, I won't go back to the strawweight division.
Mhm.
That's I'm retired from the strawweight division.
All
I
right.
can I can announce it here. You'll be the first that I announce it. Yes, I'm retired from the strawweight division. It was a great ride. I can say I was the best in the world in that weight class at moment. I had my run. It was great. I learned a lot. And now, hey, hello, Adam Wade.
Here we are, the Jag era. So
That's right.
that's very, very awesome stuff. And I'm just so happy for you, Jessica. And I appreciate you, taking the time to catch up as always. And I got to get out of here soon. So it's always great. But first, it's funny mentioning like just the craziness of MMA. It was making me think about it. What this past weekend, and I don't know if you caught the UFC fights, but in the co-main event, at the end of the fight with Luke Rockhold and Paulo Costa, his nose was bleeding a lot, and he got into guard, right, and he was rubbing his
Whose
blood.
ball? Whose nose is bleeding? I only saw the only thing that I did catch was the Usman,
Okay.
but I didn't see anything. I didn't see
Okay. So,
anything else, and I haven't followed up on anything else. So I was happy for Edwards because he's been waiting for a long
yes.
time. I love Usman, and I'm an Usman like I know he's a friend,
Hmm.
but I was just happy. I was sad for Usman, but I was happy for
Double-edged
Edwards.
sword. Yeah.
Yeah, it was exactly. But that's all I caught.
Okay.
So
So yes,
give
I'm tying this in here because at the end of the fight with Rockhold and Costa, Rockhold was in guard. It was like 10 seconds left, and his nose was bleeding a lot. I think he broke it, and he started rubbing it in Costa's face, like intentionally, like getting his blood all over his face. And it reminded me of what your rematch with Angela Magana ended because you got blood in her eye or something weird like that. We haven't talked about this before, so
Oh
I
my
wanted to
God.
bring this
No,
up.
I didn't you
What's the
listen,
story?
listen. That was that okay, I'm gonna try to keep it as
It reminded me of that moment.
oh my God, yikes. Anyways, she, so I was in her guard and I was punching and I had her close to the cage and I had my corner, I remember, and I was elbowing, I was hitting. And I think that from my nose, as I was standing and punching, like my nose, I don't know where it was coming from, I don't remember, but blood was getting on her, like it's
Okay.
a fight, right?
Yeah.
But I'm still punching and hitting. And she's like, stop, stop. So she verbally said stop. And I mean, I should find that fight because it's somewhere. I have it in a CD or yeah, I have it in a CD. Whoa. I
I know, right? Throwback.
whoa, whoa, whoa. I do have it in a CD somewhere. But she said stop. So the ref stopped the fight. It
That's a
was a
tap,
verbal
yeah.
stoppage because I was punching and elbowing and she said stop because my blood was falling in her face. And then she said, oh, that the ref, they were like, they knew her, so they like stopped the fight. Like you said, stop. So yes, that was crazy. I mean, I would probably never like rub my
Yeah,
blood in
yeah.
her face.
I'll have to send you that clip.
Yeah, do that. I would never just like that would be kind of weird, but yeah, that's what happened. Whoa, you just took me back too. That was in Florida.
Oh, 07, 06-ish,
I'll
right?
finish off with this. I'll finish off with this story. Crazy Jessica. I was living in Houston. I was getting into cycling in Houston at the time. And just to keep my conditioning, because I was working for a flooring company through Home Depot. Yeah. Anyways, I opened up the store there for them and I was working full time in Houston at the time. So I think I was going back and forth to Florida, but I was working full time in Houston and all I was doing was cycling and just running. That's all I did. They told me I had this fight. That's all I did for the camp. I flew into Florida. I think it was Ocala. I don't even remember where in Florida. I flew up to Florida. My team from American Top Team met me there in Florida. Got off the plane, went into at the time my friend, they were like, anyways, she picked me up, we go, I weigh in, put my braids on, I go fight, and that was it. That was the fight.
Wow.
That without training. It was just
And then it ends that way too.
and it ends that way. I was like, all right, that's cool. That's great.
Yeah.
All right. All right, cool. Easy work. Good job. All right. So those were crazy times. Good times though. But yeah.
Bringing you back. You know how I do.
Yeah. No, thank you so much for your time, Drake. It was awesome chatting to you like always. Always appreciate you, reaching out and putting our stories out there. And I think you're one of the only ones, and maybe, one of not many that cover the atomweight division. Not a lot, not a lot of coverage.
I mean, they deserve it. So that's it's what I'm all about.
So that's awesome. So thank you. You cover all women. You cover, you give us love. So that's really great to see. But thank you for your time. I'm glad that we chatted, and I'll keep you posted on things. I know I probably forgot some of my talking. Hey, it's all good.
We covered a lot. There was a lot to catch up on, so I'm glad we could.
There was. So we'll stay tuned for the next. I'll keep you posted on when I get scheduled next. But for now, I got to get back to the eating and to the lifting.
Yes, of course.
Thank you so
All
much.
right, Jessica. Yes,
we'll be in touch.
Indeed. Have a good day.
Thank you. You too.
Now we're joined by the English voice of Ryzen, Showdown Joe Ferraro.
What's going on?
What's going on? How are you, man? Happy Friday.
I wish it was a happy Friday. It is absolute mayhem in my world, right? So it's going. It's it's life, right? So it's time's good. I'm all beat up, so I apologize if I sound if you know anything about me, I'm usually high energy. I'm beat up right now, like I'm hurting. So do the best I can here. I think I'm on coffee number 3.
Oh, there we go.
So I'm hurting.
Appreciate you being flexible with me, man. It's been tough.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Yeah. So I mean, you mentioned kind of all the stuff that you're doing outside of things and on a regular basis, man. I know you do the mortgage agent work, right? Like you're really busy with that. That's kind of the main thing. Tell me about this a little bit.
That's the. I mean, gone are the days where MMA broadcasting was my full-time gig. That was I guess I've been doing it for 20 years now, 20 plus years now.
Oh, wow.
The Sportsnet run was obviously the pinnacle of it all. So nationally syndicated television show, radio show across Canada. That was a wonderful chapter in my life. Like to say, the best example I can give people is I lived that rock star life, right? Like if it means anything to anybody, it's you're in Vegas 8 times a year, 6 times a year. You're in New York, you're in Japan. Once a month for 5 days, 7 days, I'm gone, right? And then right when we had my son, things started curtailing. The UFC broadcast deal left the station, the sports station I was at. They went to another one. They didn't have any room, or they didn't want to do a magazine show like we had. So the career started changing, and I had to figure out like, what else am I going to do with my life? I know money. I understand finances. I understand a lot of things. I've got experience in a multitude of different types of career paths that I could have taken. And then I realized, hey, you know what? This mortgage game is interesting. You can help people. You can help people with their finances. You can help them with their purchases, whether it's their first time home or an investment property. And I just sort of dove in. I jumped off the cliff, dove in, and it's been beyond fruitful since that happened. But I mean, if anyone can see behind me, I still have all my UFC passes that I've ever, all the UFC events that I've covered.
Nice.
And it goes all the way down there, and it goes across the other wall. So I still enjoy the MMA game. The Ryzen commentary is just godsend. It's just unbelievable. It's fantastic. So at the mortgage game, I got Ryzen. I've got I'm a dedicated soccer coach.
I was going to mention that. Yeah, very cool.
I love it. It's therapy, Drake. It is therapy. I cannot express it enough for anyone that's ever done something. You're helping it's like a mini project with my boys, right? Like kids, they're little machines. We were out in the rain yesterday, and I've got the best parent group. They literally dropped. If you can picture a soccer field, and you've got the touch line, they will drop their son off at the touch line, and they're gone. They leave for 90 minutes, and me and my assistant coaches, we just, we run the boys through the ringer and we prepare them, and because we play some really high level teams. I know people think Canada soccer. No, there's some high level quality soccer here that we have to compete against. And I love jumping in there. I love getting in there because they're still young. They're 1 year away, Drake, from me having no shot to be able to run with them and compete. So this is the final year, and I'm feeling it from last night. I'm hurting really bad. So I'm a busy guy. I love it. I'm not complaining. I can't sit still. So
amazing, man, amazing. So were you kind of a soccer fan too, or was it like they got you into it and you got to adjust together?
Yeah, I'm a massive soccer fan. I would say, a lot of my friends I think you like soccer more than you've ever loved MMA. I said, well, I don't know. I mean, MMA was my adult life from my 20s and 30s and into pretty much my 40s, right? So it was it, but soccer was always in there, especially in the Italian culture that I grew up in. The top, if you ever see my TikTok videos, the top of one of my walls is the 3 Italian teams that have won the World Cup or the European Championships. As irony would have it, or perhaps coincidence, depends on how you want to label it. So my son's 11, okay, and living in Canada, where hockey is king, right? Living in Toronto Maple Leafs are king. I don't think he can name you 5 Toronto Maple Leaf players, whereas all his friends can name the full roster as well as the opposition. But my son will name 30 soccer players from 7 different teams, where they played. So this household is nothing but soccer and MMA, soccer and soccer. Well, mainly Horizon, that's what we focus on. But other than that, it's soccer is life here, man, for sure.
That's perfect with the soccer kick incorporation in both of them. So
right,
works out.
So now people know when there's a soccer kick in the ring, or sometimes a cage, depending on which Horizon it is. I get that sort of weird feeling calling it because I see soccer 5 times a week. I'm on the field 4 to 5 times a week, and now I'm seeing someone that's inside control, or someone that's coming out of guard and staying there. I'm like, here comes a shin, and to be able to call that and be like, oh my god, I love soccer, but not guys getting kicked in the head or women's getting kicked in the head. Oh boy. Right. So it's kind of cool for sure. Good analogy there, Greg. Good job.
Yes, of course. So definitely a great blend you got there, man. And keeping busy is always good. And you mentioned Sportsnet, right? So I'm not Canadian, but that was Canadian based, right? A Canadian channel or whatever you want to call it. Because I remember first seeing you kind of for your work. A shout out to Sean Ross Sapp over at Fightful, right? You did MMA stuff for Fightful a little bit. So is that kind of what happened after? What's the timeline of how you got to Fightful for a little bit?
Well, full disclosure, full transparency. My life's a blur. It's a blur, right? So I'll do the very best to see. Hopefully, there's fact checkers out there like, no, he's wrong here. I'm wrong a lot. So whatever. So Sportsnet, to give you an analogy, Sportsnet. So you've got ESPN in the States, which would be almost like the TSN affiliate here, right? And then their direct competition, their number one competition. I don't know, maybe in the States it'd be Fox Sports, perhaps. Okay. So whoever you think the number one competition at ESPN is, that's what Sportsnet was, right? So Sportsnet ended up getting the NHL broadcasting rights. At the time, I think it was $4.2 billion with a B, and that sort of kind of changed things around. TSN lost it. Sportsnet got it. Hockey's king in Canada. So that's where the ratings were going to be. So part of my proposal and pitch to the UFC Canada, as well as Dana and everyone, is like, look, not only did we help pack up the Rogers Center with 55,000 people, now we've got hockey, which means I'm going to be at every single major Canadian venue promoting my show, which is your show, UFC, Dana, Lorenzo at the time. I don't know if it's Lorenzo at the time. May have been. It's your show. So we're actually going to get more exposure. So when the broadcasting rights are coming to an end, let's be cognizant of that, right? Let's be cognizant of the fact that, when you're negotiating with Sportsnet, I wasn't part of the negotiations, but think about that because the exposure is going to be massive. Didn't work out in the end. I ended up having, they had to leave. TV show was off the air. There's nothing else. I'm a niche product, right? Didn't focus on anything else. And again, trying to figure out what I was doing. I did commentary for Titan FC, a couple of other gigs. And then Sean Ross Sapp and the boys, Jimmy Van, gave me a call. Jimmy Van called me. So look, we're looking at doing some continuing MMA coverage. Are you interested? I said, yeah, of course I'm interested, right? Clearly, massively drastic pay cut, right? Massively drastic
Yeah,
pay
yeah.
cut. That's not on Jimmy or Sean Ross Sapp, right?
Right.
That's just the industry.
That
Right?
was like the early days of Fightful too, right? Because
Yeah, when it
they've
started, when
blown
it
up
first
very
started.
big now, obviously, but
Yeah, yeah. When it first started. Myself, Jimmy Van, Sean Ross Sapp, we had Frank Trigg on, we had Sean Pearson. So we had some talent that was on there. But I mean, Jimmy Van and Sean Ross Sapp, I mean, they saved my life. They saved my day because I went from you're making six figures and on television to just nothing, like zero. Now you're you're living on your savings, right? I'm a frugal guy and I don't spend much unless I want to. But other than that, it's just like now I'm living on savings here. What am I doing here, right? So they kind of helped out at that point there. But at the time, the MMA stuff wasn't blowing up. I think MMA fighting was huge at the time. I don't know what it is now. But you're just competing. It was tough to get traction, and their WWE and wrestling content was just really going through the roof. And SRS is just hilarious. That
I
guy
love
is
that
just
guy.
oh, he's a gem. Jimmy Man, and him are absolute gems. Right? They know what they're doing. They're very smart cookies, right? They're great humans as well. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't give them enough praise. And so I know you said it's all a blur, Joe, but like the initial introduction for MMA, then like how did that come to be? Would you kind of just watch UFC like the rest of everybody when it first started? Like
Yeah, October 1993. Toronto Maple Leafs were playing November 93. The Leafs were playing the Blackhawks. I was hanging out with the boys. We'd hit this place. It was called Upstairs, right? It was called Marley Billiards. It was upstairs from a restaurant my cousin worked at. And we'd go there every weekend, Friday night, Saturday night. And the owner came to me and he's like, because I was huge into boxing as well. I boxed for a while. And he said, check out this pay-per-view thing here. I look and I go, what the heck is this? Yeah, the dudes are fighting in a cage. He's like, do you want me to order it? I said, no, I'll pay for it. I said, no. He goes, you guys are buying pictures. This place is packed.
yeah.
I'll put it on. And I'll never forget sitting there. He put it on the big screen. Sitting there, we moved the tables around, and I had sat there with all the boys, and there was, I think, about 9 or 10 of us. Girlfriends are walking around, whatever. But I was sat there and just watching on the big screen. And I remember, I'll never forget the emotion that I was having watching all of it. But I looked around at the table, and it went from 10 guys to 9 to 8 to 7 to 6 to 5 to 4, and eventually it was just me. And I was the only person in the room staring at the screen. And it literally, for me, on that date there, 93, was like a virus. Just, I got injected and I said, what is this skinny Brazilian guy doing to people? What is this Brazilian jiu-jitsu? I need to find. I remember the next day calling around saying, is there a school in Toronto somewhere? Eventually I found the jiu-jitsu school and started training and stuff like that. And I immediately want to fight pro. Like that was I have to fight. I want to fight. I want to learn. I want to know my boxing, my Muay Thai, my jiu-jitsu, my wrestling. I want to put it all together. Blah blah blah. I was ready to go, ready to get to sign for a fight. And they're like, yeah, we're gonna. It's $250 to show, $250 to win. I said, $500? That's all you're paying? I can't survive on that, right? I'm going to go through, at the time, I think a training camp was 3 weeks. Like there was no long training camp. So 3 weeks to a month. I'm not, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And weird how karma in the universe works. The next day of training, I got injured.
Oh, wow.
And came back from that, still want to do it. And I tried and tried. My body just wouldn't hold up to it, just would not hold up to the training. And then I realized, you're getting older, right? In your peak, you want to be in your 20s and 30s, early 30s, you're going to have to start, curtailing it. The UFC wasn't that, it was getting bigger at the time, but everything was on Indian reserves. And then I realized, Drake, that I was like, I'm not fighting. But I want to stay involved in this because I know that this sport is going to blow up. It's banned, pay-per-view banned it at one point. And I'm like, that's wrong, man. This is a real sport. These are real athletes. This is a legit martial art now. And to see the evolution of, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu fighters and eventually taking on the wrestlers, the Colemans. Then you see a guy like Marco Ruas bringing everything into the sport. And it just, Maurice Smith with the head kick knockout of Coleman, everything started transitioning, right? And I was along that ride and saw the evolution of the mixed martial artist. And just I got involved on the sponsorship side. I met a guy and we got involved in a company called Showdown, Showdown Fightwear. turned into Showdown Boxing. We started sponsoring fighters, started sponsoring events. And then at my first event that we sponsored, the promoters came to me and said, man, you know a lot about fighting. Have you thought about doing any commentary or color commentary? I'm like, nah, I don't want to do that. Like, no, just try. And went in there, did the audition, got hired on the spot. That took off. And that's when I started networking, right? You meet your Dana White, your Tito Ortiz back then, Chuck Liddell, Carlos Newton, all those guys. And then they had a roster of fighters. And I saved everyone's phone number and just reached out to them. Hey, how you doing? Blah, blah, I'm doing this, doing that. Then one day I was working for Rogers, a telecommunications company here, like Verizon sort of thing. And they had a radio, they owned a radio station, and people were calling in saying, why aren't you putting on UFC? We want to hear about the UFC and blah, blah. And my buddy was a sales guy. He's like, I got something for you. Check this out. And I go into his office. We walked into the programming director's office, negotiated there, put me on the air for a trial. Second or third week in, he's like, you're on your own. You know what you're doing. You run this is your radio show, right across the pretty large market, the biggest market in Canada, Toronto. 2 or 3 months later, Sportsnet called, look, we're looking for an analyst, right? So, okay, I'll come on, did the audition, hired on the spot again.
Wow.
And then I realized, wait a second, there's more to this. I can do more with this. And I pitched them. I pitched my boss at the time a magazine show, a 30-minute magazine show. I said, look, man, we know these fighters. We know they fight, but who are they? What are the stories? What are their stories? Because if we can show that a fighter was a mechanic or an accountant, getting his bar exam done, blah, blah, there's lawyers out there that will resonate with that person. Mechanics will resonate with that person. A bricklayer will resonate with that person. Chuck Liddell's got a financing background. Like, people will resonate. That'll be their favorite fighter. Right. And I pitched the show. Next thing you know, we're on the air, and boom, this thing just catapults and explodes, and all these different UFC events that I cover afterwards. So, yeah.
Oh, I love that, man. I mean, it's totally like, kind of my philosophy too, is like, there's so many stories to tell, and there's so many, it's just endless, it's really endless. And I love kind of the first introduction to MMA for you, because it's kind of similar in a way to mine. Like, I was a huge wrestling fan growing up, and then first fight I ever was exposed to was GSP and BJ Penn 2, which is kind of a crazy one to see first. And I was like, oh, this is the real shit. Like, this is amazing, then off to the races from there. But it's just crazy how
that was a pivotal point in my career too, because George and I were close. We're still close, just whatever. But back then we were really close, and that was the first time I was scared for George. I was legit scared for George, and I'll never forget. I was going to make a T-shirt. Him and I joke about the T-shirt all the time. We're doing the interview, and I just I'm looking at the champion, right? Like I'm interviewing the champion. We're inside the cage at TriStar. I'm sitting on a medicine ball. I think he's on a medicine ball. We're kind of crouching. And I just looked at him, and I didn't see the fighter. I saw my friend. And I'm like, I'm legit scared for this guy right now, right? I'm really scared for him. And I forgot what the comment was, or the question that I asked, because there was the primetime series, and BJ had said he was going to kill George or something of that nature. And it was just the way they produced that was really, really good. And you can I remember his body language literally changing, kind of leaning into me, looking me dead in the eye. And I think the quote was, I don't go to the octagon to survive. I go there to hunt. The way he said it, and I remember the corner of my eye, my producer, he had a second camera that he was recording the two of us, like a 2-shot. And I just remember his head looking up going, what the? Right? And I got goosebumps thinking about it. The way George said it, and that calmed me down, because it was a different way of looking at fighting. He's like, I don't go there to survive. I go there to hunt. I'm the hunter, not BJ. I'm the hunter. He needs to worry about me. And that was a different way that I would look at fights moving forward. And he dominated that fight, as we all recall. But yeah, that was a pivotal time in my career. One of those eye-opening moments. And I've had tons with George. Oh my God, he's awesome. Right?
The very first super fight for my money. I mean, the first champ versus champ fight, all that stuff. So. Yeah. Crazy one. And that's a great story, man. Yeah, it's definitely goosebump worthy right there. You can feel it. But oh my goodness. So obviously you mentioned the Titan FC commentary and, kind of getting into that part. Like, so obviously a big jump going international with Rizin. Like, how did that come to be? I imagine you were surely a Pride fan and watched that, so it was probably cool for that to happen. But
here,
like,
why don't we do this?
Is it more memorabilia?
Well, you know what these are, for you young fans. These are VHS tapes.
Yep.
Okay, so I have a VHS tape collection. Now, why is this behind me? This is behind me at the perfect angle because when I record green screen, I put the green screen on top of the VHSs, right? But I've got a VHS tape collection of all Pride, which you can download now. It's just, I guess it's a thing. But we used to do tape trading back in the day, right? So if I had a copy of the UFC, I'd connect with a guy with a copy of Pride, and we would trade. He'd record, I'd record, and our collections would just build
awesome.
based on that, right? So yeah, no, it was really cool. So Pride was huge to me, but obviously the UFC bought them up, right? And then from my understanding, I don't know if it was Sakakibara who may have been, they were on a non-compete clause, right? They couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
But the day after that clause ended, I got a phone call, right? In essence, consider me to be the English voice for Horizon broadcasts, right? And I'm like, I'm still the same dude from way back when. People laugh. Like, I shovel my snow. I take up my own garbage and trash. Like, my wife has a honey-do list for me every single weekend, right? Like, I suck, right? But for some reason, they like my voice. I'm like, oh, okay. And I love fighting. I enjoy fighting. I'll do it. But just know that people aren't going to like me. They're like, no, they'll like you. And if they don't like you, then it is what it is. I'm like, okay, if you're cool with it, right? And remember, I've got a Canadian accent. So with a Canadian accent, trying to pronounce a Japanese name can be kind of challenging. There's always
you do a pretty good job.
Oh, God, I try. I know when I screw up in a broadcast rate. Like, I know I'm like, God damn it.
Yeah.
But it's hard to roll off, right? So I'm much better than when I was before. But yeah, there's so many fans that used to get so offended. And I told one fan, I'm like, do you honestly think I'm doing this on purpose?
Right.
And that was the last I'd heard of any fans insulting me of that nature. Like, you do realize that it's in the heat of the moment.
Yeah.
And I'm doing the best I can. And sometimes it doesn't roll off the tongue properly, right? So it's not done purposeful, right? Like Mikuru Asakura. That's no problem. But I could say it in a Canadian way, Asakura.
Yeah.
Right? Or in Japanese, Asakura. Right? It's just, you're in the moment, right? So, I might screw up Floyd Mayweather's name.
Right, exactly.
No, it's just, I'm not doing it on purpose. Settle down, people. Like, relax, have fun. Right? So, yeah.
Yeah, man. And I mean, it's funny. People don't realize it kind of until they're in that spot, which they, likely never will be and all that. But
well, that's the other thing, right?
Yeah,
so, yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I'm not just saying this, man, but it's funny, I think that it's helpful, obviously, to think maybe you're not the best sometimes at things. So then you're consistently trying to get better and all that. But like I
100%.
said, not just to saying it because you're here, but I think that you and Frank, we're at, when you guys were together, the best. Nothing against Damien. I love him as well. But, you and Frank, we're like right up there as the best group because you guys always tell it how it is. That's one of the things that's important to be like as a listener, especially Frank. He doesn't sugarcoat anything, right? So he just tells it how it is.
No chance.
And I like that. I think it's good to have
chance.
transparency, especially considered to some other promotions we won't name maybe, but I appreciate that a lot from you guys.
Thank you. No, that's Rick. I'll pass the word on to Frank. He's a gem. He's an absolute gem, and he does not sugarcoat anything. And even when he's wrong, don't. Just let him be wrong. Don't even try and correct him. Let him be Frank, because he's just an absolute, and he's traveled the world so many times. He's got tons of experience, life experience, and just an overall hilarious guy. Like, I can't even tell you how many times we've roamed the streets of not just Tokyo, not just Japan, but I mean, when he lived in Vegas and I was in Vegas, well, who am I hanging out with? Right. And if I'm going here and going there, if we're in the same, if Sportsnet would hire Frank and bring Frank on as my color commentator to host the show, well, we're hitting the town. Right. Like, what time are we done recording? No problem. Let's say we're finished at 8. Right. We'll stick around till 8:30 or 9 and just sit there and wait. And they're like, yeah, you guys are good to go. So, yep, done. And Frank and I are hitting the town. Right. So he's an absolute gem. And he, like you said, he calls it like it is. I've always looked at, you got to keep things professional. Mm-hmm. Right. That's my number one rule is to keep it professional, but don't be rigid. Right. Like, have fun with it. Right. Like, how many times did Frank Trigg rip me on air? Right. Like, who cares? Yeah. Like, it's fun. I'll throw a pot shot his way. He'll take it.
Or Jason Herzog, of course.
Yeah. Right. Oh, Herzog took a beating. That poor guy took a beating from us in person on the air. It didn't matter. But Jason will come to you afterwards and just give it to you.
Yeah.
And you got nothing. You keep your mouth shut because he's right. He's got great wit, super nice guy. But that, and even with Damien right now, who's an absolute gem as well. He's a fantastic human. You know, we joke around, we have a good time. It's you know, at its core, if people can picture what it's like sometimes, we're not there in person, right? We're not in the venue, right? I'm at home alone in this room, okay, from 12 p.m. or sorry, from midnight till 8 a.m. I'm alone. He's all the way in Australia, chances are alone, right? Meanwhile, we're watching this and we're just dying, wishing we could be there in person to hear the crowd or hear the music, hear the big pop, right? So like at some point, like, you know, he's kind of okay. I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
Like this is a graveyard shift, right? So
Totally.
it's one of, it's like, this is a big coffee mug. I don't know if everyone can see the video right eventually, but this is a massive coffee mug. This is not just coffee in here. It is legit espresso, Italian espresso that us guys used to tell our grandparents was liquid crack. Okay. And a full pot I make, I post the picture all the time before the show. A full pot, Drake, with a little bit of milk so I'm not licking tar.
Right.
Okay. And it keeps me up. But let me tell you, when I get to that co-main event and that main event, which is at 7 o'clock morning, 7 in the morning or 6 in the morning, my time, sun is now rising, right? No pun intended, right? And I'm just sitting there going, I'm going to die. How do I keep my energy up, right? And I'm texting the producers, is there an intermission coming? Because I need another coffee. You're gonna have a heart attack, man. I'm like, it's the only way I can stay awake. So by the time the show is over, right, most people would be like just fall on their desk and pass out. I'm like jumping around. I'm like, I'm wired now,
ready to go.
Yeah, my wife and son are like, dude, you need to go to bed. I'm like, I know, go to bed. And so sleep a couple hours and back to normal, right? So love it. Don't get me wrong, I love it, but it's not easy. I'll tell you that. So.
Oh, definitely. I know we got it tough, but it's always worth it with the great action that's put on over there. So it's unlike anything else. And I'm glad you mentioned kind of the being at home element now, man, because I definitely want to talk to you about that, like how you compare it to, you know, obviously being there as opposed to doing it online, watching like the rest of us. And also on top of that, like if there's any chance you'll be able to go back soon or when that can happen, but just the comparison of it all, how tough that's been maybe for you.
It's been, well, I mean, it's not the hardest thing I've done in life, but it's up there. It's very, very, very difficult, right? So the day of the event is, again, being a soccer coach and just, in my own experience, I have routines. I have, they're not superstitions, but they're routines that I have to follow when you're here. So the routine of the night, for me, the night of the show is, the family knows that Saturday is just a wind down day for me. We can do things, but up until 6 p.m. because by 6:30 or 7 p.m. I have to go to bed. I have to go to sleep. I have to get at least 3 hours to reset the body, kind of mess around with the body clock, and then there's 3 alarms that are set in addition to the 2 humans that live in this house. Yeah. So there's 5 alarms just to make sure I don't miss a show. Because I got a great story about that one. Okay, so there's 5 alarms to make sure I do get up by 10 or 10:30. Get up, relax, jump in the shower, freshen up, clean yourself up, obviously. And then I get downstairs, I make my coffee, and at 12 o'clock is our sound check and video check, right? And then from there, I'll probably rewatch some of the confession series to see if there's anything that I missed between that 12 o'clock and 1 a.m. portion, my time, right? Then 1 a.m., we go live. And once we go live, we go live. Now, comparing it to when I used to go to Japan, right? So here's the other thing, okay? So you do the math now, Drake, okay? Doing it from home, I'm at home. Let's say I have a soccer game during the day. I can go to the soccer game. Everything's good. Coach the boys, win or lose. If we lose, I'm in depression. If we win, I'm on a high. Whatever that is, come home, sleep, do our thing, done. Japan, okay? So I would leave here on a Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. A Thursday. Direct flight from Toronto all the way to Japan. 14 hours or 13 hours, maybe 12 hours, in and around there. Okay. So now I'm on a plane. Okay. Go all the way to Japan. By the time I don't sleep on planes. Okay. I can't. I just physically can't.
Even the long ones.
I don't take drugs. Yeah. Yeah. I don't take drugs. I don't take anything that'll put me to, I'm as clean as I can possibly be. So no sleeping unless I'm some way, somehow take a nap or pass out.
Yeah.
Okay. Get to Japan. It's now afternoon in Japan. So I'm dead. Okay. I've been up for 24 to 36 hours. I land in Japan and got to go through the airport. And there's the sign that says Horizon. It's got my name, Joe Ferraro. And they bring me out to a cab. Boom. And they send me back and they drive me to the hotel. Get to the hotel, and now it's like, now I'm a zombie. I'm exhausted. And there's Shingo. Hey, you want to go for dinner? Nope. Not happening. Not happening. Nope. Come on, Joe. You're tough Canadian. Canadians are tough. I said, Canadians get tired. Okay. I'm tired. I'm just going to chill. So chill, sleep, go to bed. Our production meetings at 6 a.m. Okay. We go downstairs for breakfast, 6 a.m. Frank was never late. I'm never late. We're never late. We're there. It's so much fun. We do the production meeting. It's the day of the weigh-ins. Okay? Do the weigh-ins. Then we go for dinner. Then we're all taken care of. The next day is the show. Show's done. Wake up the next morning. Fly right back to Toronto. Okay? So I'm literally on the ground for 36, well, maybe a bit more than 36 hours. 48 hours, we'll say.
Okay.
Right? So travel across the world for 48 hours only to come back.
Wow.
Okay? So, but that's not to say when you're in that venue, especially Saitama or anywhere really, Okinawa, doesn't matter. When you're in that venue, there's an ambience, however you want to say it. There's a smell. There's an emotional feeling when you're in or at a Horizon event that's completely different than a UFC event and any other MMA event out there, right? The best example I can give you. Have you been to both actually?
I haven't yet, no, unfortunately.
Okay. A UFC event.
Oh, well, yeah, UFC. Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah.
I haven't been to
The
Horizon.
UFC event is like going to the con you can possibly go to. Like it's just amazing show. It's incredible. Horizon is like a Broadway show. Like it's the top of the top of the top of the top. Best show you will ever see. So one's the best concert you'll ever see. One's the best extravaganza show you'll ever see. So they're completely different. There's a different vibe. One is more, I guess, carnal UFC. One is more almost nostalgic, right? They're fighting. Yeah. They're all fighting. They're both fighting at both, but it's treated completely different. The event, the way things unfold, it's more of a show in Japan, right? Whereas with the UFC, it's like go, 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 bang, right. Things are going crazy, right? So they're both beautiful in their own aspects. But when you're in Japan and you get to a Horizon event and get to experience, especially, you ever notice the fighters are doing this, right? They're covering their ears. I cannot explain to you how loud that sound is. It'll make your rib cage reverberate. Yeah. Right? It is so loud. So any of those fighters from the Asakura brothers to Hiraguchi, like they just know. They know it's coming. It's so loud. The sound. Here's the little difference that I tell people all the time. You've never heard big sound at such high quality that you'll ever see at a Horizon event. The songs, the music, the walkouts, the screen. It is crystal clear sound. Okay. My very first degree that I got was as an audio engineer, recorded music production. So I'm very experienced working in studios, recording instruments, recording vocals, whatever. And the first time I was in Japan for a Horizon show, hearing that, I looked around and I'm like, and I'd been to about 70 UFC shows at the time. And I was like, there's no comparison. Wow. Right? Like when DJ AL3 goes and he starts playing his tunes, it sounds nice. But in Japan, I'll never forget, I forgot whose walkout it was. She came out to Smooth Criminal, Michael Jackson's Smooth Criminal.
Andy Wynn?
Andy Wynn. That was my favorite. That's arguably one of my favorite walkouts of all time. That and Mark Hominick in Toronto. But Andy Wynn coming down and dancing, it's the first time I actually turned around and looked behind me and was just like the sound, her walkout, how she was just nailed it. Unbelievable. It was a show within a show, right? It was crazy. It was unbelievable. So yeah, a Horizon event in person it's put on your bucket list. Figure it out. I know. Save your money. Find a way to get there. It's unbelievable.
I was hoping to for I think it might have been the 2021, whatever. I don't remember which number it was. 20 maybe. Horizon 20. like one of the best events of all time. I love that one. Whichever one it was that was like so amazing, I missed. I was like, of course. But I'm hoping to get to a New Year's one definitely soon. So obviously, as things are still slow.
Oh, those are ridiculous. Those shows are ridiculous. I'm telling you, Drake. I'll be calling those fights, and the fanboy in me kicks in. Right, like 22 years or so in this business, and I'm like, I'm calling these fights, man. Like, this is cool.
Yeah,
this is really cool. And then you're like, oh yeah, Joe, yeah, professional. Remember that guy? Oh yeah, back to being professional, right? So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I could imagine. I could seriously imagine. And that's a perfect segue, man, because like obviously I want to talk to you about some stuff that's upcoming, but with all that in mind, like craziest or most memorable moment for you in that spot, like calling a show. Is there something that sticks out? Obviously, there's so many to choose from, but
yeah, I mean, Crow Cop winning the Grand Prix was one. That was just crazy. You know, anyone that can call a Floyd Mayweather fight, that's a feather in your cap, right? Wasn't a long fight,
right?
That was cool. That was being able to call a Mayweather fight. The weirdest one, trying to remember who it was. It was the scariest one. It was the most surreal moment of my career where I thought, this dude's about to die. He's going to die. And you can you'll catch the inflection in my voice when I'm calling the fight, because I didn't know if I should continue calling the fight or as a human being stop calling the fight and enter the ring to save this guy's life. Thankfully, he didn't die. Obviously, he just, I can't remember who it was.
Is it the Kitaoka fight?
No. Yeah, Kitaoka. It was Kitaoka's fight. Yeah, when he's getting punched, and his head was just bouncing back, and it was right in front of us. It was no more than 15 feet in front of us, and I didn't know what to do. Like, it was just like, you got to keep being professional, and it was the only time. Because I've been around. I'd seen a lot of people get hurt in my career, especially in my grassroots days. And it was the only time I've ever messaged the Rise and Brass and like, listen, can you just do me a favor? Just personally, can you let me know he's okay? I just want to know if he's okay. And, lo and behold, he went to the hospital. Everything was fine. And, a couple months later, he decides to fight again.
He's still fighting.
Stop fighting, dude. Stop fighting. But these guys are tough as nails, man. It shows human spirit. They're warriors over there. But that's a surreal moment. But for me, maybe so that's one.
I think that was the Brandau fight, if I'm remembering correctly. Maybe.
Yeah, it was crazy for me. The very first time I set foot in the Saitama Super Arena. That's at UFC 79 for me was I made it as a full-time broadcaster. I'm at a UFC event. Wow. Getting the TV show going live on the air, coast to coast. Wow. Rogers Center, my home city, Toronto, 53 to 55,000 people. My boy GSP headlining it. My other boy, who I've known since a teenager, Mark Hominick, in the co-main event. We made it, boys. We made it. We did it. Okay? That was pinnacle stuff. But then getting to Japan, Saitama. I remember walking Saitama, I think it was the second floor or third floor, walking around the concourse and just stopping. Literally, I live by the Carpe Diem saying, like, seize the day. And I was just looking around and smelling and just like, wow, look where I am. Look where I am. Wow, this is like, I made it. Again, I made it. This is really cool, right? And you just, you have to just, I tell people all the time, whenever you are somewhere, you have to enjoy the moment. Put your phone down, man. Put your phone down. Stop selfieing, video. Accept it. Feel it, right? It's good karma. It's good for the universe, right? So that was a big one for me. Saitama was huge, Drake. It was like, whoa, like everybody's fought here, man.
Yeah.
This is crazy. People fights here tonight. This is nuts. So, yeah.
Definitely some good ones, man. And I'm itching so badly to get over there. I haven't even been to Japan yet, so that's definitely gonna make that happen as soon as possible. Have to, but
yeah, it's a different world, different culture, man. You'll love it. You'll love it.
Absolutely. So with that in mind, Joe, I want to talk about some stuff that's coming up, like I mentioned, and you mentioned Floyd there, who is returning to the Rising ring. So I just wanted to get your kind of general thoughts on that whole thing with fighting Mikuru this time. And so I've been saying this kind of publicly and just on Twitter and whatnot about this matchup, which is I think it's fair to assume Mikuru will have a better chance than Tenshin. Just physically, that's kind of a big thing for me. But of course, it's not safe to assume he'll win. And I, don't know if you're allowed to do predictions or anything. Not going to ask you for that. But just what do you think of this kind of spectacle happening again, and with someone of Mikuru's star power? I mean, that's obviously a huge thing. Just in that regard, getting eyeballs is always nice.
Yeah, yeah. If you look, for me, listen, styles make fights. They always have, always will, and anything can happen in a fight, right? Back to the GSP analogies he used to tell me all the time before he went public with this one. I knew about this, so when I used to make predictions, people would know, how do you know this? Well, it's not the best fighter that wins; it's the best fighter that night, right? I've seen, and I can give you story upon story of high level fighters that I knew were going to lose that night because something had happened in the hotel room, something had happened with the wife, the girlfriend, could have been the boyfriend if it was a female fighter,
right.
Bad breakfast, right? Anything can happen that can affect the fight. I know this person's carrying an injury into the fight. How he got past the medicals, I don't know. They're not going to win this fight. This guy's not going to, he got knocked out 3 days ago. He's not winning this fight. It's just, this thing's not going to go more than 5 minutes, right? So anything can happen in a fight. But looking at Mayweather, going back to that Tenshin Nasukawa fight, I hold Tenshin at such a high level. The kid's a wizard. He's so fast. He's so quick. I thought when he was matched up with Mayweather, I thought to myself, I don't think Mayweather knows what he's doing. I really don't think Mayweather understands what this kid is and how this is going to make headlines.
Right.
Jesus, was I wrong? Because as soon as Tenshin picked up the pace, you can see it in Floyd's eyes. Yeah? Exhibition fight? You want to do it like this? It was over.
Yeah.
And I'd never seen Tenshin get defeated like that. And in talking to Floyd afterwards, he told Frank and I, he's like, it was an exhibition fight. You decided to pick up the pace. I got to do what I got to do. And I was just like, how great are you? How great. Like Anderson Silva in his prime.
To be able to even do that.
You could see just slow motion to these guys. They've seen it so many times, right? And what Floyd did to Tenshin was just like, what? I looked over at Frank. I'm like, Frank, sorry. Like, when it comes to knockouts, I'm going to jump in. I got to take over. He's like, I barely said anything, Joe. I'm like, it was crazy. It was nuts. So now the Asakura fight with Floyd, that's a different dynamic, right? It's a different setup. It's a different, I think, in my opinion, I think Miko's going to be far more patient, right? He'll try and see what he can do if he can some way, somehow figure out the 51 or 50-0, world champ, or legend of boxing. Where's the weakness? Excuse me, right? Like, where's the weakness? So it can be found, and anyone's got a shot. And I think either one of the Asakura brothers can figure anybody out, right? It is. I've gained so much more respect for Floyd Mayweather in the ring after that Asakura fight, and really understood, like, holy smokes, I've called hundreds and thousands of fights. That was ridiculous. That was borderline. I saw that like within 20, 30 feet of my own eyes, and saw something in a human being that was just magical. I'm like, damn, this is what the GOAT looks like, or one of the GOATs, right? Like, maybe not GOAT, but GOTE, greatest just of their era. Like, holy smokes, this guy's unbelievable, right? So yeah, it was just one of those things. But then Asakura, you just never know. These are killers. These two brothers are killers. They're from the streets. They've honed their skills. As long as he just doesn't get trapped in the moment of, oh my God, I'm fighting Mayweather, as opposed to, yes, I'm fighting Mayweather. Right. Let's do this. You know what? He can pull it off, man. You just never, ever know, right? And, Floyd might be 50-0. That O's got to go. Something can happen, right? Anything can happen. It's fighting. It's the fight game. I learned a long time ago, Drake. Anything can happen. So.
For sure. I'm definitely still fascinated by it, despite, kind of seeing some of the things recently going on and all that. But yeah, it's going to be fun. It's always fun. Super Rising, right? That's what the event will be, kind of a 2-day extravaganza. And so before that, I think we'll also be getting at Ryzen 38, the semifinals of the Super Atomweight tournament, right? Which I absolutely love the tournaments in general, but I love the Super Atomweight division mostly, more than anything, really. And very fascinating first round, Joe. So I just want to get your thoughts kind of on just the tournament as it started out, seeing all the names that were involved, the matchups, how things played out. Like, is this very exciting for you? Because I love it.
Oh, any Grand Prix, because now I've always said it. I've said it so many different times in different ways. You know what fans like, and I tried telling this to other promoters that often failed. I said to Dana White, I said to Joe Silva, I said it many, many times. What fans like are fights that have meaning.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Either a championship fight, fans, they love championship fights because it means something. Okay? Or fights that will get you to a destination, right? And that's why I love tournaments. That's why I love Grand Prix. That's why, sometimes you're talking to a wall with some of these millionaires or multimillionaires. Because they've made so much money, they're going to do whatever they want.
Right.
But I'm like, there's a reason why the World Cup is as big as it gets. It's nationalistic, right? People will follow their country.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's a reason why, the World Series is big. There's a reason why the Super Bowl is big. There's a reason why the Stanley Cup playoffs are so big, because there's an end game. There's an end game. People love to follow the end game. What people don't like is the number 32 fighter taking on the number 27 fighter. Okay. Or an unranked fighter taking on an unranked fighter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You got to be the hardcore of hardcorest to like that. For the most part, people want an end game. People want to see, can Izawa pull this off, right? Does Hamasaki have what it takes still to be the greatest, to be the legend, right? There's got to be something there, right? Like, Asakura, like what's, right?
Yeah.
Will she some way, somehow get thrown in there? Some way, somehow. We don't know, right? But Siwoo Park did her job, right? So it's, Reina doing her job. It's one of those things where, okay, now we've got our Final Four, right? We've got our Final Four. Is Izawa really that much of a favorite? Maybe she is, right? It's, again, not the best fighter it's going to win. It's the best fighter that night. So come tournament night or come Grand Prix night, I'm all about I'm literally looking at body language. I'm looking at the smallest wince of an eye. When they're walking up the stairs, if there's a wince, was it the left leg? Was it the right leg? Was it the knee? What is it? And I'm always looking for the smallest, minute thing as I'm calling a fight. Big John McCarthy told me a long time ago, people don't understand and don't realize this until it happens to you. When I got my referee's license, when I got certified as, I think it was the ref, yeah. When I got, no, even as maybe the judge, I got both. But there was one time, he says, pay attention when fighters are just, they're striking away or they're doing their thing. Someone gets a clinch or somebody lands a knee to the body. Pay attention to when a knee lands to the body and whether a fighter was aggressive that just got hit with the knee and then slowly moves back, or if they took the knee and they're still moving forward. Pay attention to small, minute details like that. Sometimes you'll see a jab that looks like nothing, but what just happened there, right? We're human beings. These are all human beings, tough as nails.
Right.
I laugh when Trig and Damien are like, "Oh, foot stomps don't hurt." How about you? Foot stomps hurt. Okay, sorry, may not hurt you as a professional fighter, but I know they hurt.
Yeah.
And they're annoying. And the wrong bone plays. They break a bone in your foot, it plays mentally in your head, right? It may not stop the fight, but it could turn the fight. And people are like, "Oh, foot stomps, Joe, shut up." I'm like, okay, pay attention. Just watch. Right? So, yeah, it's tournaments are tournaments, man. Grand Prix are Grand Prix, but I got to tell you, these like Izawa to me is something else, man. Like she is something else. Seika Izawa is just like a dream come true for a broadcaster, and it's no different than Sosa, right? Like Koike. Those dudes get you down to the ground. stopwatch.
Yeah. Yep.
How long is this going to last? That's the kind of stuff I like, because it's like, can this person survive? Can that person actually finish us off in a minute? Right? Like, you never thought with Johnny Case in that situation there, like, that's how good Sosa is, man.
Crazy.
It's just crazy, right? So when Izawa gets on top of you, gets to the ground, look out, right? So yeah, it's going to be interesting.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I wanted to ask how impressed you've been with her, because Joe, like, I'm going to get real bold here. I am probably like the biggest supporter of Sayaka. I'm riding the hype train really hard. I've been watching her entire career, because it's obviously not been very long, which is practically the craziest part about it. I mean, 14 months in MMA overall, defeats one of the greatest fighters of all time, the best fighter her division's ever seen, and then does it again, and then just has this crazy performance showing what I would say light years ahead in terms of experience and comfortability, getting stuck in that triangle against someone dangerous like Fontoura. And then I'm still not even really sure how she got a hold of that guillotine and pulled it off. Like, I literally cannot be more impressed with her. I consider her the best talent in MMA right now, because she's the best in her division already, with the everything considered, right? And like, it's insanely scary to me how much better she is only going to get. Like, it's
young fighters. These fighters that go on these incredible runs start off their career really, really strong. The one thing I've learned over the years is I want to see their heart tested.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see what's going to happen when you get your butt handed to you. Can you survive? Being stuck in that triangle, she can survive.
It reminded me a lot of Hamasaki and Ham 3.
Yeah.
In the second round.
Yeah. But when you're getting punched and kicked and things aren't going your way, that's where champions are made, right? That's where champions have to deep and figure it out. For what I saw in her fight with Laura was, this woman is not giving up. She will do what she'll either get choked out, not sure about knocked out,
right,
but choked out, or she'll figure it out. And that's the true sign of a champion. And that goes with any sport in general. The best championship teams in sports are those that find a way through adversity, whether through injuries to the lineup or losing in games or finding a way to tie or win. Those are championship teams. Same thing with fighters, finding a way to win. And when someone starts off their career 7-0, I think she's 7-0, right?
Yeah.
7-0, yeah.
Dual division champion.
Right now, let's see when she gets tested, like for real tested. Like, you're about to lose this fight. Can you pull the rabbit out of the hat? Right. So that's what I want to see. And then, but just if you ever see me go or hear me go quiet during commentary, it's because I'm like, what did she just do?
Right.
What was that? I don't even know what to say, Damien. Help me out here. What was that? Right. So yeah, but Hamasaki is like just a gem too. Like,
absolutely.
I don't know there's something off with her right now, or the past couple of fights, because I know she still has that killer instinct, but the finishing, the statement, right? The statement fight, like, I'm going to hurt you, I'm going to finish you, right? That's like, Reina has that, right? Or Rena has that, right? Rena smells blood, body shot, upstairs, you go to sleep, right? Strikers seem to have it. Seika has it on the ground, though. She'll get it and squeeze and really put you to sleep or break something.
Give her an inch, she takes a mile.
Right. So yeah, that Grand Prix is gonna be ridiculous. I can't wait to call that. So lots of espressos on that one for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So, all right, last thing with Sayaka though, I got to ask you this because I did do a piece arguing this, Joe, and since you've seen all of MMA's history, really going back to the UFC start, I think it's great to ask you. But I argued that Sayaka's rookie year in MMA was the best rookie year of all time in MMA, considering she went on to beat the greatest, one of the greatest fighters of all time the way that she did. I mean, the first fight wasn't close, and you look at, obviously, BJ Penn comes up and there's some other names with their first years, but even BJ didn't go on to really beat someone of Ayaka's status. When you make that comparison, I think it's the best. That's my opinion.
You're asking me to go into my blur again.
Yeah.
I think you make an exceptionally valid point.
And she only went to MMA because judo got shut down from the pandemic, man. Like, it's just such a story.
Yeah. Yeah, Conor McGregor lost in the grassroots. He lost, yeah. George had a difficult time. George was undefeated. Then he lost to Hughes.
But even that wasn't within like
No.
the same time
No.
span.
No, I think you're right. I'm trying to think who else had a meteoric rise.
I mean, Jones was pretty good, but he didn't.
Jones was good. Pettis, his younger brother. I think you're right, dude.
Yeah.
I think you're absolutely. Off the top of my head, I can't think of anyone else that could be that close, right? And it is one of those things where you know when something you hold something special, right? Like, and I always say, like, ride it, man, ride that wave. Let's see how long this is going to go, because you just never know, right? Because these fighters are always one wrong decision away from ruining their careers, and one shin kick away in training. Look at Dominic Cruz, and that guy's career completely went downhill because something happened in the training room, right? Like, he fell back during a sparring session. That was it, done. It was never the same, right? So, you know, it's. I think your assessment's correct. I think Izawa may be, yeah. And as soon as this interview's done, I'll be like, Drake,
oh, that one, hold on.
Right? No, I think you're back.
Yeah, I'm confident about this one. So, yeah.
Special, man. She's special. Then, you know, I never bother Shingo with anyone from Ryzen with my thoughts, but I'm like, how long is she going to be with Ryzen, right? Like, we saw what happened with who was it? A couple of fighters. Higuchi goes over there.
Yeah. Tofik just left.
Yeah, you just never know, right?
Well, that's also a thing.
What's his name? Oh my God! I'm playing UFC light heavyweight champ.
Oh, Yuri.
Yuri, right?
Yeah.
Oh, Yuri, my boy. He's a wildcat, man.
Oh,
that dude's a wildcat.
Yeah.
Oh, I had lunch with him one time, or breakfast one time. He smokes that guy's amped up. He's just always ready to go, like, at any one point in time, and then just whoop, air gets knocked out. He's just calm, and then at any one point, whoop, philosophy, whoop, chill, philosopher, chill, right?
Crazy.
Yeah, Prohaska's great,
very
dude.
unique,
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. You let him go, rightfully so, and boom, you know, there's a Ryzen champ that becomes a UFC champ, right? So yeah, you never know, right? So
yeah.
I feel good for Ryzen. I feel bad for Ryzen, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
I'm just lucky I get to call these fights. So it's, you know, it goes into history. You become immortal, right? So it's really cool. Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing too that I've been saying, like, especially after that last fight, like, if the UFC was smart, they'd do everything in their power possible to steal Izawa and make their atomweight division, which they've, you know, slacked off on. I think they could have done that when Jinyu Fry was the champ in Invicta, and all this would have been a perfect time and whatnot. But not that I want that to happen, you know, because I love seeing her in Ryzen, but we'll see. We'll see where things go, you know. But
I'll keep calling all her fights. I'm not going to keep her here. I love it, right? And, you know, I wouldn't mind, you know, just getting over there to do one in person. Yeah. That'd be fantastic. But, the logistics right now are still kind of challenging over in Japan, right? So, you know, Shingo or Ryzen will just give you a show, like, hey, are you able to make it or you're not able to make it? That's just basically how it's going to work, right? But, yeah, I know, Drake, you've never been, but if you ever go to Japan, you'll have an unbelievable, life-altering, just appreciation for humanity, right? Like, they say us Canadians are the nicest humans on earth. They make us look like we're horrible humans. Like, they are so nice over there. They're beyond, like, we're Canada. We're all about please and thank you. You know, we're just nice to people in general, even strangers, blah blah. They're totally different, man. They take it to the next level. I can't hold a door for a woman over there. I can't let a woman into the elevator. They're just like, no, foreigners. Party. I'm like, I'm not a foreigner, man. I'm just a dude here for 48 hours, 36 hours. Please, on the elevator, right? So yeah, they're just nice humans. They're really nice people. So, and the food, unbelievable. The culture is just, you know, it's different. It's just different, right? So you know, I've been all across the States, all across Canada, all around the world, but Japan, you just know it's just beautiful. Everything is clean, right? There's you don't see people smoking on the road. You don't see people, nothing wrong with smoking. Just you don't see it on the road. There's stations, no litter. There's no trash on the ground, especially in Tokyo. All right. Funny story. The first time I went to Japan, we're walking down the streets of Tokyo. Me and Rick J. Lee, and we're going, and we so many restaurants to pick from, Drake. What do I see? What do we see? Burger King, right?
Of course.
And I was like, dude, we gotta have a Burger King in Japan. Like, how cool is that? Okay, it was a joke. We ordered Burger King and whatever. And now we're walking around, we're eating, we're enjoying the sights and looking around. Okay, now we're done. And I was like,
Oh.
there's no trash bins, no trash bins anywhere.
Yeah.
You take your trash home with you, and you put it away in your garbage. And that was like a reality check. I'm like, oh, interesting. So whenever Frank and I or whomever we'd go out, we knew that whatever we bought anywhere, even at a convenience store, if it was something quick, blah, blah.
Bringing it with you.
Your pocket, you're bringing that to the hotel room and using the hotel garbage, right? So it's very just beautiful, clean, very polite culture, right? So I love them over there. So
yeah, for sure. And I've been to Singapore, so it's similar that way for sure. Very
I wanna go to
utopia,
Singapore so bad.
utopia, like very clean. So I know what it was like from that. But yeah, I can't wait to get to Japan. Definitely as soon as it's easiest is kind of just what I'm waiting for, with any restrictions and whatnot. But eventually, eventually. So, all right, Joe. Well, I've kept you longer than I planned to, man. So I'm sorry about that, but I appreciate it
my pleasure.
so much. And just to leave things off, I want to leave you with this last question here. Since we are getting ready to close out the year, and with that means the New Year's show for Horizon coming up, and things aren't official yet. We have ideas where things might go, but what is a fight that you really want to see made next? What is at the top of your list? Like, oh, we got to put this one together before the year's over. Ryzen, come on.
Oh man,
got some options.
Yeah, there's lots of options. I want to see. A rematch with Sosa and Tofik would make me happy.
Yes, indeed.
Anything Asakura, anything Horiguchi. I can't put two guys or girls together. I'm so excited for New Year's Eve. I always am, right? That I'm just like, when I get the card, I'm like, what? Yes, that's the first fight. Holy jeez, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, off the top of my head, I don't know. I'll put heavyweight scraps. I'd like to see, but I'm happy with anything. What do you think?
Well, I'm very fascinated to see who Horiguchi's going to get next, because he's coming back for this next. I don't know if he's on the Super Ryzen 1 or Ryzen 38, right? But I was expecting we'd see the Hiro Masa trilogy, because seemed like it made sense, but different directions. That's all right. We'll get that when it comes. But interesting matchup here that I kind of ran into potential this past week. Don't know how closely you follow Bellator, but Goichi Yamauchi, who just had his big win over Neiman Gracie. I spoke to him after the win, and since he's going to have to wait a little bit for the welterweight title to get sorted out with Amasov and Logan Storley rematch, I was like, would you be open to dropping back down to 155 if Ryzen offered you a title shot against Satoshi? And he's like, yeah, of course. It's like, oh wow, I would love to see that now. That would be insane.
Inoue versus any Asakura brother would make me happy.
Yes.
Right. Inoue, something was up with that fight. I don't know what was up with that fight, but those kind of fights where the Asakura brothers, and I think Inoue brings so much to the ring, as does Asakura. Kai or Mikuru, depends on what happens here. Those are my kind of fights. When you get high level MMA that you pray and hope doesn't go the distance, that you pray and hope don't neutralize one another, where it's like that one mistake.
Yeah.
It's just one mistake away, right? The running joke, and I hate to say this to Ryzen fans in general, well, they might agree. The running joke during the broadcast is, I'm the first person to type, come on, so let's say there's 10 fights or 12 fights. Come on, 12 first round finishes. just so I can get to sleep or I can survive here. And when I say that, it's like every fight goes the distance.
Yeah, you're like,
right?
Okay.
But they're so exciting, and it's irrelevant, right?
Yeah.
As long as the fights are exciting and they go the distance, I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm having a great time. It's when they're like, okay, somebody punch each other. Somebody punch
yeah. Which is pretty rare, honestly,
Yeah, right. And that's the beauty of Damien and I are ready to call it right away when it's like referee stepping in, referee stepping in, right? You just see the referee kind of making that one step forward, and then boom, there's the warning. Thank God, let's go. Get up here, let's do it, right? Or sometimes they do what they should be doing, but that's another story altogether, right? So it's good. So
absolutely. And I do want to say too, actually, these are the two obvious ones I think that do need to happen. Is Kleber Koike's title shot against Ushiku. That one's kind of a must right now. And then Juri Ohara absolutely more than has earned his lightweight title shot at Satoshi as well. So I think those are
but Tofik for me, and even Karamov. Like Karamov that was a weird fight with him. That was just a weird fight. On there, right? He's a finisher as is, but those are my kind of fights, right? Like this it could end at any time. I'm sure everyone says the same thing, right? And then there's people that like just the full-blown 15-minute fights. Yeah, I used to. I'm old. I'm older.
Right. A lot going on.
I'm busy. Let's go. Come on. Let's get some fights here. Right? We're here to fight. We're not here to dance, right? Yes. So there's just so much talent on this roster. I'm pumped. I'm excited. I can't wait. September's coming soon, and let's go. Let's do this. Right?
Yep. Hard not to be excited, man. So, all right. Well, we can wrap up there, Joe. I appreciate it so much, man. I could talk to you forever. Just a wealth of knowledge, so many good stories, so many things to talk about. So it means a lot, to come on the show for the first time. This is episode 18. So, hey, if you ever want to use me as a resource, I talk to all the fighters as much as I can every month. So feel free to check that out and whatnot. But anyways, I thank you for taking the time and making the time, and wish you the best. Hope you can recover a little bit on this Friday here, and it's nice and easy for you from here on out. But
I think I'm taking an ice bath after this. I need to take an ice bath from rotator cuff, heel, right knee, and rib cage all in one day. And I worked out today, and I still found a way to work out. I'm trying to set an example for my son. Doesn't matter how many injuries you have, you can still find a way to work out. Maybe you're not lifting as heavy as you want.
Yes.
You must work out. Right. I hated it, but I did it. So
awesome stuff, man. A good lesson indeed. But all right, Joe, I'll let you get on with it, man. I hope you have a great weekend too. So appreciate you, sir, and best of luck with everything you got going on, man. I'm sure we'll be in touch just as things go along.
Thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it.